Hey, it's the one and only Kevin Peterson. It's Family Matters.
Woo! And Jay Staples
Right?
from a Sober Caddy.
Yeah, with bad Wi-Fi because of a storm. So
Well, let's go.
if I break up, it's all Kevin's fault. Just so you know.
Yeah, it's the power of the energy coming out of here.
How you doing, Kevin?
I'm good. I'm in Carbondale, Colorado.
Oh yeah,
Hanging out at the Jaywalk Lodge.
I know a program in Carbondale.
Really? Which
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, it's becoming a little
many.
rehab heaven now.
I'm telling you. Well, it is heaven, that's for sure. Let me be clear. So
yeah. Well, there's
man.
the OG Jaywalker. I think was the first to be there. So
Oh yeah. 20 years.
Wow. Alrighty, Kevin, we got some
Bring it.
some chaos, anxiety, kind of ease of mind. See if we can do this. This one hit home to me, which I loved because of my mom. I learned through a family program and so forth. It's a mom. She basically says there's kind of two questions in one. So take whichever one you want. But if I turn my phone off for one night, will I wake up to the worst news of my life? How do you manage as a parent putting healthy boundaries in and not always having every phone nearby, waiting for the news to hit? And then follows that up is, what if jail is the best thing for my son?
Well, okay, I'm going to take the second question first because that's the easy one. Jail or rehab is the best place for your son. Let's be clear. The odds of him getting into trouble or getting high diminish greatly by putting him into an institutionalized environment, whether it's treatment, a hospital, or jail. So let's be clear. Every family I work with is, hey, we hate to admit this, but when he's in jail, we feel safe.
Yeah.
And just like when he's in treatment or he's in the hospital, I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's perfectly normal. I of course you do. And you don't have to be guilty about that or feel shame about that. That's a natural reaction. Okay, so the other question, how do I not be on red alert 24/7? Well, that's up to you. You have to make a choice. You have to decide that you have offered your son an opportunity to get help, whatever that looks like. And as long as you've made that offer and you've given him, this is what it looks like and this is how it's going to work, then it's up to him to choose that. And the question I have to ask you is, how is you answering the phone 24/7, 365 helping him? What is that doing for him? Is that getting him sober? Is that getting him to a better life? And, obviously, I think the answer is no. And if you're going to talk to him regularly while he's using, which is fine, you need to say, are you ready to get sober? I'm here to offer you help. You have to be the change in the system. What you're saying is you're waiting around for him to change. And I'm going to tell you, you're going to wait a long time. But when you change, that's going to force him to change. Now, are you looking for a guarantee that he's not going to overdose or something bad's going to happen to him? No, but by you keeping your phone on 24/7, that's not going to guarantee that it's not going to happen. And I know that's a harsh reality, and it doesn't make you feel good, and it makes you super uncomfortable, which is even more reason why you should give him an opportunity to get help and tell him, until you're ready to get help, I can't help you, and I don't want to hear from you. So the ultimate question is by being his emergency phone call 24/7, is that helping him get sober, yes or no? That's the question I have back.
Yeah. I mean, most people don't worry about kind of a criminal record or, I don't want, whether it's finances or whatever it is. But I think so many people are willing to work with going to treatment and putting everything on hold for the time being, too. So, you can, I think a court, from my experience, is willing to kind of, hey, this is hanging over your head, but if you get better, we're willing to take, this all go away. So,
yeah.
So a spouse wants to know, how do I know that? I mean, all these questions hit home. So that's what's the
Okay.
last. I mean, is when I smirk, don't take it as a bad question. It just hits home. How do I know the difference between like real hope and pretending hope? Like he is. I always think he's going to get better. She says, paraphrasing. But am I just pretending, or is there actually like, do I even have any hope that he gets better?
Great question. Oh my gosh, great question. Funny, I named the book Chronic Hope and the company Chronic Hope because it's about that, right? You have this hope that things are going to get better while in the face of them not getting better. And here's the answer to the question, how do you get through that? Or is it fake hope? It's never fake. But what kind of like we talked about the previous question, you're the one that has to change the system, not you can't wait for your spouse to change the system. So the way you can get to a space where there's actually something that may actually occur is by setting a boundary with them and saying, I love you and I want to stay with you, but these things have to change. I cannot continue down this path the way things are. And I will help you get help, but you have to choose to get the help. And I know that sounds like a tall order and you live with the person, and I completely understand that. But by just sitting there waiting, nothing's happening. Nothing's changing. It's the old phrase, if nothing changes, then nothing changes. And I don't mean waiting for them to change. You have to change.
Yeah.
And that's the essence of the answer to the question, is that you have to be the one that starts the change in the system. And as soon as that occurs, it's going to force the other person to wake up and take notice.
Well, I think you're hitting kind of a home run in the sense that, when you're even talking about the phone, like having a phone on you 24/7 or turning your phone off or putting it on the nightstand, does that neither one ensures a healthy return of your son. I mean, your son, I'll just put you, I mean, my mom slept with every phone she could, find. I think she even borrowed the neighbor's phone just in case I reached out to the neighbor or something. So, but the reality is I was still doing what I was doing, whether or not she had every phone. I mean, like, it's not like I was like, well, I can't do anything, tonight. My mom's got every phone that she can get, in her pocket or something. So like, there's a level of, like people want to, families want to think about, what if I stop doing this, they'll whatever. But they don't look at it. Well, starting it or doing something different is still going to have the same. It doesn't change addiction.
No, no, no. And that's the thing, is that the premise of these questions, and I totally understand where these families are coming from. The premise is, how do I get him to change? And the answer is, you don't. The answer is, you change. And when you change, he's going to have to pay attention and take notice and be like, oh shit, that's not working. I have to do things differently. But waiting around for the addict to change, that's going to be a long wait, and you may get, it's not, and you're not going to get the results you're looking for. Yeah.
Well, the loaded question. I mean, the generic. I mean, why, the age old, why your family's so reluctant to change? I mean, they all put it on the addict alcoholic. I mean, I don't know if you have an answer, but I mean, that's I'm left with that question all too often, is the reluctant for families to change.
Well, there's a lot. They always have a lot of the same answers from all the different families. We don't have a problem. He does. I'm afraid if I do that, he'll get mad. I don't want to deal with this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the thing I always try to tell them is, okay, well, how long have you been doing this? How long have you been doing it in the I want him to change way? And how has that been working? And are you willing to try something different? And that's what it really comes down to. And if you're willing to try something different, this is in a method that has been proven to work, over the ages. The other method of waiting for them to change just doesn't work.
Yeah, there's a bunch of tragic stories of families, waiting.
Yep.
I think the good stories happen when families get into change themselves. So
Right. Right.
there's a I think I would consider a country or something, but I think I'm going to butcher his name, but I think it's like Cameron Whitcomb or something like that. But he's actually in recovery, or sings a lot about being in recovery.
Oh.
He's got a line that goes hand in hand with the question. I mean, it's the hardest part of getting clean are all the dang apologies, I should say.
Hmm.
And so I think it's a wife or someone talks about, like, if they ever do get sober or help, I envision a life of just nonstop apologies or, whatever. I mean, I think this is a fear that I've had when I got, like, if I do change, like, oh my God, like the list of apologies and changes and admitting I was, is, long, and it's so easier to keep me in addiction. But she wants to know, like, will I have to spend the rest of my life, or will he spend the rest of his life apologizing? I mean, we know the answer to that, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's a viable question.
Oh, totally. And I think, I mean, obviously, you and I know we're talking about making amends, which is the ninth step of the 12-step process. And, it's one of those, I mean, I can share with you my experience, right? My experience is that for the first couple of years, I mean, when I first time I went through the steps, I had a huge amends list and I ran through the whole process and made amends. And let's be clear, when we talk about amends, it's not apologizing. That's part of it, but it's, for me, the way I was taught, amends has four pieces. One, hi Jay, it's Kevin. Here's the harm that I caused you. Two, please tell me how it affected you. Three, um, have I left anything out? I hate that part. And then what can I do differently, or how can I make it up? How can I make it right? That's amends. Apologizing is, oh, hey, Jay, really sorry I stole money from you again, or I didn't show up on time, or I blew you off, or whatever, but then doing it again and doing it again. And that's an apology. An amends is, how can I make this right? Well, Kevin, when you say you're going to show up, I need you there. I can't have this. Well, your word means nothing. That doesn't work for me. You're right. You're 100% right. And that's about me changing my behavior.
Yeah.
So, how many times is your person going to have to do this? Well, I would tell you that my first round of amends, I kind of got everybody I could think of. And then a funny thing happens in life when you stay sober. People just pop up out of the blue. And you're like, oh yeah, I need to make amends to you. And I contacted them. This has happened to me, you know, recently, where somebody popped up out of the blue and I'm like, oh my God, I completely forgot, and just immediately said, hey, I'm so sorry. And I need to take responsibility. And do you have time for a phone call? And sometimes they're like, nah, just send me the money.
Yeah.
Like, nope, no problem. Or they're like, sure, what's going on? I'm like, hey, I want to acknowledge that I know that I did was wrong, and go through that process. Most addicts will tell you, most people in recovery will tell you, the first couple rounds of amends, you kind of sweep out the biggies and get them cleaned. And then the answer, when the question is, do you have to spend the rest of your life constantly apologizing? No, because part of the process of amends is changing your behavior so you stop doing that stuff and you stop behaving that way. And that's the big piece, which leads us to a big discussion between being sober and being a dry drunk. You know, you can go to meetings, stop using, and say you have a sponsor and not work the steps, and you're going to become a very angry, uncomfortable person to be around. But I don't drink. You know, to me, when I say sober, I mean no drugs, no alcohol, and working some sort of program of change and changing my behavior. And so that's the key to that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the my best introduction was I was still in treatment, long-term treatment. So I was nine
Hmm.
months or some 10 months in, made the formal amends to mom and dad. And one of them, the biggest thing was kind of stealing from them. And then the next day I took a quarter from uh, my roommate in treatment for, Diet Coke for 50 cents, and I was a quarter short, and just grabbed that quarter. And for some dumb reason, I told my sponsor about it, and he was like, "Well, you're probably not ready to make amends. Then, if less than 24 hours, you make supposed amends to your mom and dad, and then go and do the exact same thing to someone else. Like stealing is stealing." So, and that was kind of eye opening too. Like I had several people in my family and probably those people around me, like, sorry is not going to ever cut it again. Like I
Mm-mm.
mean, I don't want to hear I'm sorry for a while from you. And then also I've had the men's where people are like, what can I do? Like never acknowledge me again. Like if you see me on the street, go the other side of the street. So, and I had to
Mm,
be all right with
yeah.
that.
Yep, exactly. I've had a few of those. One of my first rounds of amends, I called the same woman 3 times and left a message on her answering machine 3 times. And my sponsor was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Now you're stalking her.
Yeah.
Okay. You leave a message once and that's
Yeah.
it. And I'm like, oh, okay, okay. He goes, I know you're just trying to be diligent, but if she doesn't call back, that's your answer. Like, oh, okay, got it. Sorry.
Yeah. I was excited about some amends to some ex-flames because, back in my mind, like I could maybe put the charm on, but anyway, don't do it my way.
No.
Don't do it my way.
Well,
I've learned a lot, um,
funny, funny enough, my sponsor said, beware of the ex-girlfriend amends.
yeah,
Because, like you said, we walk in with an ulterior motive. And he said, they see you as finally the person they were always hoping you would become. So
yeah,
now it's like, ooh, it's a chance. And it's like, it's not.
yeah,
It's not. It's God is not putting you back together to hook up. He's putting you back together to make amends and be like, nice seeing you.
yeah, exactly. What would
Yeah.
you say to, I get a lot of times with families with interventions and kind of just in my line of work is, um, you know, families feeling like they're talking behind the addict's back if they're talking with me or looking for help, and they feel like they should involve the addict, alcoholic, whatever, the one struggling, um, and reaching out for help is kind of talking behind their backs.
Yeah, that's a great question. So here's the thing, and this is where things kind of get brutal. And that's, well, okay, so, if we don't talk to me, there's a chance that they're going to die.
Mm-hmm.
And let's be clear, if you try to bring them into the conversation and say, hey, we met this guy Jay, we're going to all meet together, they're going to be like, no, or they're going to sabotage it. And what I would say is that if you've gotten to the point where you're fearing for their life, or it's destroying your life, even more importantly, and I know that sounds ridiculous, but if it's destroying your life, then you want to talk to Jay or myself and put together a plan. And sometimes that's how it has to go. And trust me, I hear it from the guys at Jaywalker all the time. Well, I'm still pissed at them for doing the intervention and ganging up on me. And I'm like, and the parents are like, oh, he's mad at us. I'm like, yeah, but he's still alive.
Yeah.
So he can be mad at you. And we can sort through that in therapy, but when they're dead, we can't do that,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
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 I mean, exactly. You can always invite the addict and alcoholic into the conversation, but bringing them in from day one isn't doing anything because the family, like we always say, has to start changing. How do you start changing? Well, laying the groundwork to change before bringing the addict alcoholic in, because you bring them in all at the same time, like you're still, that reluctance to change is always going to be there. Like the family changes, and the biggest first step to change is reaching out and talking with a professional. So,
Yep, exactly. And just see what the plan is. Just kick some tires and look. So what would we do in this situation? Oh well, XYZ. Oh, okay. Well, we'll think about it. We'll get back to you. So yeah.
we'll wait several months, and then when chaos hits, then we'll call you back.
When he's in jail.
All
Or
righty,
crashing in
Kevin.
the
We do
car.
this every Thursday night or Thursday afternoon, morning, whatever it is. Family Matters. Keep the questions coming, and one of these days we'll stump Kevin. But He's the real deal.
Stop.
He's, works with families on a day-to-day basis. So keep the questions coming. And again, every time I read one of your questions, I can relate to it just because being on the other side of it. So keep them coming.
Yep.
And there's no such thing as you've heard this before, or I'm sure you get this all the time. Ask it anyway. So Kevin, good job. You can clock out for the day. Take the rest of the day off, would you?
Oh, if only I could.
Yeah. Just tell him I said it's all right. All right.
All right, bro. I'll let him know.